The Treaty of Alfred and Guthrum is an agreement between Alfred of Wessex and Guthrum, the Viking ruler of East Anglia. Its date is uncertain, but must have been between 878 and 890. The treaty is one of the few existing documents of Alfred's reign. It survives in Old English in Corpus, Christi College, Cambridge, Manuscript 383, and in a Latin compilation known as Quadripartitus.All. Translations below come for Dorothy Whitelock, English Historical Documents 500-1042. Text. A prologue begins the document, outlining that it is a treaty between King Alfred and King Guthrum and the councillors of all the English race and all the people which is in East Anglia. The first point is the most famous. First concerning our boundaries, up on the Thames, and then up on the Lee, and along the Lee unto its source, then straight to Bedford, then up on the Ouse to Watling Street. This has been taken by many later writers as the boundary of the Danelaw. However, the treaty does not describe it as such, and it appears to be primarily a political boundary, perhaps created in the wake of Alfred's taking of London. The second article raises word values to a considerably higher rate than would normally be expected. This is next. If a man is slain, all of us Englishmen and Dane at the same amount, at 8 half marks of refined gold, except the CEORL who occupies rented land, and freedmen, these also are estimated at the same amount, both at 200 shillings. In the treaty, as noted by Simon Keynes and Michael Lappage, a CEORL living on his own land was essentially treated as a noble. They argue that this discouraged killings, as it placed the price of compensation as too high. This presents two problems, according to Paul Kershaw. First, it assumes premeditation. Second, by placing too high a value of compensation, the treaty might actually discourage peaceful dispute settlement. Kershaw argues instead that this was merely a simplification of social structures over the border. Anglo-Saxon and Danelaw social structures did not necessarily correlate, and so a carte blanche simplification may have been the only way forward. The third section sets out regulations on the number of oaths a plaintiff and defendant are required to produce in a case of manslaughter. The fourth stipulates that a man must know his warrantor when purchasing slaves, horses or oxen. The fifth sets out how the English and Danes could interact, and we all agreed on the day when the oaths were sworn that no slaves nor freemen might go without permission into the army of the Danes, any more than any of theirs to us. But if it happens that from necessity any one of them wishes to have traffic with us, or we with them for cattle or goods, it is to be permitted on condition that hostages shall be given as a pledge of peace and as evidence so that one may know no fraud is intended. Bibliography. English Historical Documents c. 500-1042. D. Whitelock, Simon Keynes and Michael Lappage. Alfred the Great, Ass's Life of King Alfred and Other Contemporary Sources. Paul Kershaw, The Alfred Guthrum Treaty, in Cultures in Contact, Scandinavian Settlement in England in the 9th and 10th Centuries, ed. D. M. Hadley and Amp. J. D. Richards. Patrick Wormold, The Making of English Law, King Alfred to the 12th Century, Volume 1, Medieval Source Book, Alfred and Guthrum's Peace.